Jake Paul's keys to victory. One technique that I think Jake Paul can use is to punch when Nate Diaz is punching. For example, when he fought Anderson Silva, he landed a right hand at the same time that Anderson Silva threw his right hand. When he connected, he got the knockdown. Let's show you guys how it happened. Threw at the same time, he landed that knockdown, which eventually won him the fight because it gave him the rounds on it.
Oh yeah.
So the key takeaway there is to punch while Nate Diaz is punching.
Jake has to be a perfect counterpuncher to get Nate off him, basically.
I've noticed from watching a lot of the Nate Diaz fights that he's very heavy on the front foot. What can Jake Paul do to take advantage of this?
Nate is a straightforward fighter, pretty simple. He throws a lead hook, comes with a straight left. If you look at him, he's in a southpaw position. He likes a lot of these punches where he comes with the 3 and he wants to stab the 2. That's the biggest thing. What Jake has to do is get that pull back on that 2. So Nate will lead with the hook. When Jake pulls back, boom, that way he can counter with the 2, immediately land, because when he comes back, boom, he can touch him there. We all know Nate's chin suspect, so, you know.
That is true.
That's the biggest thing with this fight, you know what I mean? With Nate being able to pressure, that gives him the advantage. But the power from Jake, that gives him more of the advantage, because the power that he brings behind his punches, he lands and he touches him, is night-night.
Nate Diaz gets hit with the right hand way too easily. The difference here is that when Jake Paul throws a punch, he really commits to it. He commits to his power because he believes in his power. What can Jake Paul do to make that right hand land a little bit more efficiently for him?
You got to establish the jab. I mean, just like any boxer, you got to automatically come with the jab, touch him with the jab, keep Nate at distance. Once Nate gets past that jab, just find that 2. Me personally, I would shoot for the chest, because if Nate does sit down like he will sit down, run right into it. So if he's here, standing here, and he comes in, when he sits down, boom, he's going to get touched. But the jab got to be out in front of him. So use the jab. When Nate comes over, he tries to throw that 2. Jake needs to be there before it. Boom, touch. He ends up on the ground, gets an 8 count, he gets back up. Jake needs to jump on him again, immediately right after that.
Okay. And for the right hand that he throws, do you think he should take the overhand off of it and keep it more straight, or should he?
It has to be tight. It has to be tight. He got to work on his game. The main thing about this is a boxing match, not an MMA match. So with Jake staying tight and throwing that straight down the pipe, Nate is not going to expect that. He's going to expect the looping punch, the overhands, or anything, one of those things. Against a southpaw, you need a 3-2 or a 2-3, and Jake has a hell of a 2. So with him slapping that 2 down the pipe, he needs to follow up with the 3 and then set back up that 2, just in case he missed, to finish off the shot.
So another good technique for Jake to use to win this fight is to start with the jab and don't show the power to the later rounds. Almost like a Lennox Lewis. Just jab him for the first couple rounds and then surprise him with the power.
Of course, you're setting him up. You want to set him up. You want to continue to use that, make him think that he's not going to throw it. And then when he finally see it, surprise, boom, touch him.
Boom. Don't let him get used to that power too early on, right?
Exactly, because you don't want to wear himself out either. Because like you said, Jake does commit to the right hand. Mm-hmm. If he constantly uses his power over and over and over again, he might be exhausted later in the rounds. Nate can last. We know that.
We do know that.
So if he can last in the rounds, even though it's might be a 6 to 8 round fight, me personally, I think it's not going to go past the 6th round. But it's possible.
All right. We don't know his prediction yet. Don't give it up yet. We're going to wait for that for later on. Another thing I noticed about Nate Diaz's style is that he often will put his guard up on his forehead and walk straight at his opponent with his elbows flared. How could Jake take advantage of this?
Body shots. Key point. MMA fighters really don't throw body shots because they're worried about the knees or the takedown, right? So now, in this case, if he does this, he's just basically telling any opponent, I don't respect your punches. I'm going to walk you down. I'm going to press you at this point, because a lot of fighters don't go to the body. If he does go to the body in an MMA fight, what happens? The knee can come. If he goes, boom, the knee stabs. So nobody's really throwing the body shots. Only a select few guys that I got the speed to get in and out. Now, him coming in like this right here, me as Jake Paul, boom. Or if I'm saying it like this right here, if you switch southpaw, boom. So let's say I'm Jake and you're Nate, you're walking in towards me, boom, touching the jab upstairs and stabbing to the solar plex. If I keep touching that solar plex, with a boxing match, after a while, we start breaking those walls down. Break those walls down, make it easy for me to get those real organs that I want to get to.
There you go. And then, because Nate Diaz can take a good punch, he can take a good shot, if he's able to walk through that first shot to the solar plexus, what should Jake do after landing that?
Oh, if I'm here, boom, I'm coming back with the hook up top. I'm just gonna turn you and I'm ripping right back down to that solar flex shot. Think about boxing. After a while, these shots take effect. Got it? MMA, 1 or 2 shots, you're down. 3 shots, 4 shots, yeah, you might be hurt, wobbly. In boxing match, you can go a little bit more. You can take more impact on these shots. Got it? And Jake has been there, done that. Nate hasn't. Nate's only done that in sparring. So this is going to be the advantage for Jake to take over.
Attack the body, attack it at will.
Exactly.
Right?
Slow your opponent down because Nate, we know, has endurance. He can work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to slow Nate down. So
That's
you slow
true.
Nate down with body shots.
Yeah. And another thing I noticed about Jake Paul, when he does go to the body, he'll jab to the body once,
Yes.
right? And then he resets.
Yes.
He's JT saying, stay in there and keep attacking that body, right?
Yes. Take your time. I mean, in the beginning, take your time. Boom, touch him, get in and out. Because Jake has his experience level is getting higher and higher. He's looking phenomenal. So just continue that. Don't switch your game now at this point. Stay the course.
Another technique that Jake should use, or shouldn't use, is overthrowing his power punches. He throws away too much energy doing that because we all seen in his last fights, he misses a lot of power punches. You always see him missing by a mile, basically. What should he do to avoid missing this much?
I mean, to me, it's this right here. If I'm Jake Paul and I throw my right hand and I absolutely miss, let's say you step back and I miss, he need to learn how to start working these angles. So if he shoots, get off the line and get off that angle. Got it? Because instead of staying directly in front of your opponent, being able to be hit, if I change positions, if I shoot that shot and I overthrow it, I change angles, boom, you might throw a punch there. I can rip and rip from here. The angle's going to be the biggest thing because a lot of fighters are straight forward and back. You got what I'm saying? So the main thing is he has to, if he does overthrow and miss, if he does miss, boom, angle out, and then shoot a right hand again at a different angle.
So should he sort of pre-plan on the miss before he throws the punch?
Not necessarily. It's just if
If
it
he
happens.
misses.
If you miss,
Okay.
angle off, shoot another straight right. Now remember, this is the biggest thing in this. You fighting a southpaw versus orthodox. So now, if I miss here, boom, him sidestepping to the left, boom, will set me up to get hit with this, with Nate's left. So that's the biggest thing in this. So if he does miss, boom, he needs to angle hard. He got to angle hard to get past that hook. That might throw, because Nate loves the hook.
Yeah, and he'll throw like 4 or 5 shots.
He will slap that hook at him, and then again, it's 4 or 5 punches at a time. You know, they might not have no steam on them, but they're consistent.
That's true. And pretty accurate too.
Yeah.